Stop everything you are doing right now. Put the phone down. Close every other tab. Tell whoever is in the room with you to be quiet because what I am about to tell you is the kind of moment that only happens once in a generation of professional wrestling, and if you are not paying complete and total attention you are going to miss the full weight of what just occurred at Elimination Chamber tonight. The masked man is Seth Rollins. Read that again. Let it sit. Let it marinate in your brain for a full second because the implications of those 5 words are so enormous, so far-reaching, so fundamentally disruptive to everything we thought we understood about the current WWE landscape that rushing past them would be a crime against the magnitude of this moment. For weeks, this masked figure has been the single most talked about, most theorized about, most obsessively analyzed mystery in professional wrestling. Every show, every segment, every backstage interview and dirt sheet report and YouTube breakdown and Twitter thread has circled back to the same unanswerable question: who is under that mask? Fans built conspiracy walls. Analysts constructed elaborate timelines. The most connected insiders in the wrestling business threw their most educated guesses into the ring, and every single one of them, every single one, missed. Because nobody guessed Seth Rollins. Nobody looked at the man standing on WWE television every single week, cutting promos, performing matches, maintaining his full public schedule as one of the most visible superstars on the entire roster, and concluded that same man was simultaneously operating as a masked phantom, attacking people from the shadows, and then walking back onto that same television program the next week like absolutely nothing had happened. Nobody guessed it because it was impossible. Because it required a level of discipline, compartmentalization, deception, and sheer psychological audacity that no one believed any active superstar was capable of sustaining for this long without cracking. And Seth Rollins not only sustained it, he perfected it. He walked the tightrope without wobbling for weeks. And then at Elimination Chamber, when the moment was exactly right and the stage was exactly big enough and the damage would be exactly maximum, he ripped that mask off himself. On his terms. In his moment, and the entire world shattered. I am furious at how brilliant this is. I am furious that he pulled it off. I am furious that not one person in that arena or watching at home saw it coming. And I am furious that Seth Rollins is now standing on the other side of this reveal looking like the smartest man in the history of this business while the rest of us are sitting here trying to pick our jaws up off the floor. Ring Rumble 1 is going to break every single piece of this down for you right now. The moment. The method, the motive, the fallout, and what this means for WWE going forward. Do not go anywhere because this is the most important breakdown this channel has ever delivered. Before we go 1 inch further, I need 60 seconds and I am not apologizing for asking. If Ring Rumble 1 is new to you tonight, let me tell you exactly what kind of channel you just landed on. We do not do surface level here. We do not skim the headlines and pretend that constitutes content. Ring Rumble 1 is where wrestling fans who actually care, who feel this business in their chest and need someone to meet those feelings with real analysis and real passion, come when something this massive happens and they need it broken down the right way. Hit that subscribe button right now. 1 click, completely free, and it locks you into the most honest, most thorough, most emotionally invested wrestling community on all of YouTube. On. Perfect. Here we go. Let's go back to the moment itself because the details of how Seth Rollins chose to unmask at Elimination Chamber are as deliberate and as loaded with meaning as every other decision he made throughout this entire masked chapter of his story. Seth Rollins did not get unmasked. That distinction is critical and I need every person watching to understand it completely. He was not caught. He was not cornered. Nobody ripped that mask off his face in the heat of a brawl or exposed him through investigative work or forced his hand through accumulating evidence. Seth Rollins removed that mask himself. Voluntarily. Deliberately. At the precise moment he had calculated would produce the maximum possible impact on the maximum possible audience. He chose Elimination Chamber, one of WWE's most prestigious and most watched events of the calendar year. A platform where the stakes are at their absolute highest and where moments are guaranteed to live in the collective memory of the wrestling audience for years. He did not unmask on a random Raw. He did not do it on a house show or in a backstage segment that would get buried in the news cycle. He saved it. He protected it. He carried that secret all the way to Elimination Chamber because he knew that was the stage worthy of the revelation he was about to make. And when he pulled that mask off and turned to face the consequences of weeks of deception with the most unsettlingly calm expression imaginable, the arena did not immediately explode. There was a beat, a collective inhale, a moment of stunned, disbelieving silence where thousands of people simultaneously processed what their eyes were telling them and struggled to accept that it was real. And then it erupted. Because that delayed reaction, that moment of silence before the storm, is the purest measure of a truly shocking moment in professional wrestling. Seth Rollins manufactured that silence on purpose. He has been manufacturing this entire story on purpose. And the craftsmanship of it is both infuriating and extraordinary. Here is what I keep coming back to and what I think deserves more attention than any other aspect of this story. How did Seth Rollins maintain this secret for as long as he did while remaining one of the most publicly visible superstars on WWE television? Think about what that required practically. Every time Seth Rollins appeared as the Masked Man, he had to do so in a way that created zero traceable evidence connecting him to that identity. Zero witnesses who could not be trusted. Zero moments where his natural mannerisms, his vocal patterns, his physical habits leaked through the mask in ways that experienced wrestling observers would recognize. Seth Rollins has been performing in front of cameras for over a decade. His body language, his movement patterns, his instincts as a performer are deeply familiar to the most attentive members of this audience. And he suppressed all of it every single time he put that mask on. He became someone else completely. That is not just acting. That is method-level psychological immersion that goes beyond what most performers in any entertainment medium are capable of sustaining under the pressure of live television. Why? Why did Seth Rollins go to these extraordinary lengths? What was the goal that justified weeks of deception, weeks of double identity, weeks of carrying a secret this massive while maintaining a full public schedule on WWE television? The answer reveals something about Seth Rollins that goes beyond this specific storyline and speaks to the fundamental core of who this man is as a competitor and as a human being operating within the professional wrestling industry. Seth Rollins built the masked identity because there was something he needed to accomplish that he could not accomplish as Seth Rollins. There was a target, a situation, a problem that required intervention but could not survive his direct involvement, because the moment Seth Rollins attached his name to it openly, the response would have been immediate, political, and suffocating. By operating behind a mask, Seth removed himself from the equation while remaining entirely in control of it. He got to shape events, influence outcomes, and maneuver pieces on the board without any of the accountability that comes with being identifiable. That is not just strategy. That is a man who understands power at a level that most people in this business never reach. Power is not always about what you do openly. Sometimes the most powerful move is the one nobody can trace back to you. Seth Rollins has been the most powerful man in this story for weeks, not because of his physical presence or his championship credentials, but because he was the only person in the entire situation who knew the complete picture. And knowledge, in Seth Rollins' hands, is the most dangerous weapon in WWE. Let's talk consequences, because Seth Rollins' unmasking at Elimination Chamber does not just close a chapter. It opens several simultaneously, and the landscape of WWE Raw going forward looks fundamentally different in the wake of this revelation. Every superstar, every faction, every authority figure who has been operating over the past several weeks has been doing so with incomplete information. They did not know Seth Rollins was the Masked Man. That means every decision they made, every alliance they formed, every response they constructed to the situation was built on a foundation that was missing its most critical piece. Now that piece has been revealed and every one of those calculations has to be completely rebuilt from scratch. The people Seth Rollins targeted during his masked chapter now know who was responsible. And the responses those people bring, fueled by the specific personal betrayal of realizing it was Seth Rollins specifically, are going to be significantly more intense, more motivated, and more dangerous than the generic pursuit of an unknown masked figure. There is a difference between hunting a mystery and hunting a man you know. When you know who did it, the anger becomes personal. The mission becomes personal. And personal missions in professional wrestling produce the most unpredictable and explosive confrontations this business generates. Seth Rollins chose to unmask on his terms. But the consequences of that unmask are now completely out of his control. And for the first time in this entire story, the visionary is operating without the advantage of superior information. Everyone knows what he knows now, and that levels a playing field that Seth Rollins has been tilting in his favor since the very beginning. I have taken you through every layer, the unmask moment, the discipline of the deception, the motive behind the mask, and the fallout that reshapes WWE's entire landscape. Now this comment section needs to become the most active it has ever been because Seth Rollins unmasking at Elimination Chamber is the kind of moment that demands this community's loudest voice. Tell me right now, what was your physical reaction when that mask came off and Seth Rollins' face appeared? Did you scream? Did you throw something? Did you sit in complete stunned silence for 10 seconds before your brain caught up with your eyes? And looking back now with full knowledge, what clues did you miss? What moments during the masked chapter should have told you it was Seth Rollins if you had been paying close enough attention? Drop everything in the comments below. Your reaction, your retrospective clue analysis, your prediction for what comes next now that Seth is fully exposed and operating in the open. And if you know someone who has not seen this yet, someone who missed Elimination Chamber and does not know what just happened, send them this video right now. Tag them below. This is the breakdown they need. 3 things before you leave, and I mean every one of them. Number 1, like this video right now. This exact moment. One tap tells YouTube that this content matters and deserves to reach every wrestling fan on this platform tonight. Do not wait. Do it now. Number 2, share this video on every platform you use. Every group chat. Every wrestling community you are part of. Every social media account you own. Seth Rollins unmasking at Elimination Chamber is the defining WWE moment of this era, and Ring Rumble 1 gave you the most complete, most passionate, most honest breakdown of it available anywhere online. Share it everywhere. Number 3, subscribe and turn that notification bell to all right now if you are not already locked into this community. Because Seth Rollins operating openly and without the protection of anonymity is a completely different and even more dangerous story than anything we have seen during the masked chapter. Ring Rumble 1 will be here for every single development, faster, deeper, and more real than any other wrestling channel on this platform. The mask is off. Seth Rollins is exposed. And WWE will never look the same again. This is Ring Rumble 1. And we are only just beginning. See you in the next one. Asterisk.